Well, good evening, church friends. Reverend Malcosky coming to you from the Vandalia United Methodist Church for our Wednesday evening Bible study. It's kind of a busy house here today. We might hear some clanging in the background as we gather to say farewell to Carol Collins today. Monday we said farewell to Barbara Carnes-Link. And then this coming Monday, we'll say farewell to Jack Flutie, who died yesterday from COVID-19 down at Miami Valley. We lost Amy Cohen's father this morning, so please keep the Cohen family in your prayers. It's been a sad, sad week, but we continue, and so we are still in the season of Lent, and we are in our Bibles on chapter 18, verses 12 through 27. And this is Jesus before Ananias. I like Caiaphas better. I can say that one better. The high priest. We'll get to that here in just a minute. But first, let us hear the word from John chapter 18, 12 through 27. So, hear this. 12 through 7. Oh, I got to go back a page. There we are. Okay. Then the detachment of soldiers with its commander and the Jewish officials arrested Jesus. They bound him and brought him first to Annas, who was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, the high priest that year. Caiaphas was the one who had advised the Jews that it would be good if one man died for the people. Simon Peter and another disciple were following Jesus. Because this disciple was known to the high priest, he went with Jesus into the high priest's courtyard. But Peter had to wait outside at the door. The other disciple, who was known to the high priest, came back, spoke to the girl on duty there, and brought Peter in. "You are not one of his disciples, are you?" the girl at the door asked Peter. He replied, "I'm not." It was cold, and the servants and officials stood around a fire they had made to keep warm. Peter also was standing with them, warming himself. Meanwhile, the high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. "I've spoken openly to the world," Jesus replied. "I always taught in synagogues or at temple where all the Jews came together. I said nothing in secret. Why question me? Ask those who heard me. Surely they know what I said." When Jesus said this, one of the officials nearby struck him in the face. "Is this the way you answer the high priest?" he demanded. "If I said something wrong," Jesus replied, "testify as to what is wrong. But if I spoke the truth, why did you strike me?" Then Annas sent him, still bound, to Caiaphas, the high priest. As Simon Peter stood warming himself, he was asked, "You are not one of his disciples, are you?" He denied it, saying, "I am not." One of the high priest's servants, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, challenged him. "Didn't I see you with him in the olive grove?" Again, Peter denied it, and at that moment a rooster began to crow. The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. Well, this is kind of it's almost like a play, isn't it? You can kind of see the movement of the different people that are involved in this. And it's an act also kind of in three stages, isn't it? Where we have Peter and the disciple whom Jesus loved, the other disciple. It doesn't say that it's the disciple whom Jesus loved. We're not quite sure which disciple it was. And then we have Jesus being interrogated by Annas, A-N-N-A-S. Now, it says Caiaphas is the high priest or Annas is the high priest. Is it both? Is it one or the other? Well, what the commentators have said and what the scholars have noted is that Annas was the high priest from 6 to 15 BCE. not so that would be AD. So right around 6 to 15, he was the high priest at one point, and now it is his son-in-law Caiaphas who is the high priest from 18 CE or after death AD until 36 AD. Okay, so you know Annas is kind of the stately father or father-in-law who had the job first. And not only did he have it and his son-in-law had it, but 5 of his sons had the title of high priest, and as did one of his grandsons had the title of high priest, kind of the family affair of high priests, if you will. And so Annas, who is he's probably has the term, kind of like you still call the president Mr. President, even though he's no longer the president. Or Pastor Michael, even if I'm no longer your pastor, people still call me that. He still had the title. He still has an official role in the court of the high priest. So Annas is interviewing Jesus at this time. And so when you see here, which one's the high priest, Annas or Caiaphas, they both had the role at some point. As did, again, Annas, 5 of his sons and a grandson, kind of a dynasty of these high priests. And so Peter and the other disciple go to the court of the high priest. They kind of knock on the door and they're let in. And we're not sure which disciple this is. Is it the one whom Jesus loved? Is it just another disciple? So we're not quite sure which other disciple. But again, it's not really about that disciple, because the question is, it's strange that a Galilean fisherman might be friends with somebody who's on the court of the high priest. So we're not sure who this is. But again, it doesn't matter to the story that John is trying to tell us. The more important is that Peter was outside the courtyard, and then he is let in the courtyard by someone whom one of his colleagues, one of his other disciples, knew and was able to get him into the door. And then we have this young lady who's standing at the door. She's keeping watch in the middle of the night as to who is allowed in and not allowed in to the high priest's courtyard. And she asks a rather peculiar question. She said, in a peculiar way. She doesn't just say, "So you're one of his disciples, huh?" She asks it, "Are you not one of his disciples, are you?" It's a strange way of asking the question, but what she's doing is she's asking the question in a narrative way, and that prompts Peter to have to respond in a narrative way. "No, I don't know who he is. I don't know who you're talking about." And so it's a strange way of asking a question, but what we're looking for is to find out what Peter's response to that question is. And then he comes in and he's standing where? He's standing by the fire. Who's standing by the fire? The officials, the police, the ones who just arrested Jesus. And that is who Peter is now kind of in cohorts with on a cold night, keeping warm. Imagine what the police are saying to each other. The officials are saying back, "Well, that was an easy arrest. The guy just put his hand up in the air and came with us willingly." And Peter is just going, yeah, in kind of an awkward way, right? He is now standing with and in league with, in company, those who just arrested Jesus. He's not quite with Judas, but that's a fine line, isn't it? It's close to what Peter does as to what Judas does, as to what the temple guards and ultimately the crowd will do here tomorrow morning, right? And so we finally move from the scene of Peter's first denial into the chamber where Jesus is being interrogated now. And they're asking him questions. And Jesus is standing there going, "Well, you know who I am. Why are you asking me questions? I've said everything openly, in public, in the synagogues. If you want to know what I said, ask around. I've said it completely open. Nothing has been hidden." And while he says, "What do you want to know? Ask around. I've been saying these things," up comes one of the officials and hits Jesus in the face. And Jesus is kind of I'm sure, shocked that he got hit, but he's also shocked as to the reason why he is hit. Why did you hit me? Did I lie? Did I say something untrue? You asked me a question. I told you the truth. I told you the answer. And so what we have here is that Jesus is speaking truth. He's not lying. Meanwhile, outside, in a mirror of that, we have Peter, who is lying through his teeth. He's doing whatever it takes to save his skin. But Jesus knows everything that's about to happen, and he's speaking the truth. I'm telling you everything point blank. This is exactly what I've been saying. Ask around. Why are you hitting me? Why? Because we like a good lie more than we do the truth, don't we? That this is the one who died for us, who loves us, and willing to go to the cross, willingly to the cross for us. So Jesus is speaking openly and truthfully, but meanwhile, we go back to Act 3, scene 3. I was never much of a playwright. The third scene of this play, and that's back out at the fireside, right? And Peter's denying Jesus again. You were with him, weren't you? Nope, that wasn't me. I don't know who you're talking about. And finally, he's questioned by someone who was there, right? He was, I saw you in the olive grove with him. You cut off my cousin's right ear with that sword of yours. And so Peter's denials aren't on these, I saw you do it. I'm an eyewitness, a first count. This guy would be admissible in court even today. I was there. I saw that guy. He was with Jesus. He cut off the servant's ear. That was my cousin. He did that too. And so Peter denies it again, right to his face. Nope, I don't know what you're talking about. And then we hear the rooster crow, and Peter is reminded. We don't need to remind us that Peter's reminded that Jesus said at dinner last night that before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. And that last one was to someone who saw him. Yeah. And so Peter's denials aren't on this grand scale, are they, of Judas's betrayal, where he sold him out for 30 pieces of silver. That was just evil, right? It wasn't quite there. But Peter's denial, it's even more haunting, isn't it, nonetheless? That, to someone who was his best friend, who was his closest follower, who was his disciple, he said, denied him 3 times. I don't know who you are. And for us, most of us, we kind of have, our denial of Jesus doesn't come in the form of the crowd, or in the morning we're ready to shout, crucify him, crucify him. But instead it comes as of a denial. Weren't you a follower of Jesus? Who? I don't know who you're talking about. How does our denial, do we fall in line with Judas, where you're willing to sell Jesus out for money? Are you part of the crowd where, just kill him so nobody else has to die? It's prudent that one should die for the people. Or do we sometimes come along the lines of Peter, where when asked, are you a Christian? Are you a follower of Jesus? You're willing to say, I never heard of him. I don't know who you're talking about. So, as we move closer and closer to Good Friday, right? We are reminded once again that this is the season of Lent, the season of moving towards spring. I'm ready for a little spring. It's a beautiful day out today. I'm ready for some springtime, and I'm ready for some Easter. And I pray you are well. Stay healthy. Stay covered. Stay distant. I'm getting tired of the event we're about to have this afternoon, and again on Monday. So God bless you. Be well. We'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye.